Hello, and welcome back to the Void Century podcast. And Matt, I'm here today to bring you chapter 991 of One Piece entitled Please Let Us Die. Actually, the covers of note, Pound is finally reunited with Lola and Chiffon, and they're hugging after 26 years. I'm not crying, you're crying. Ed?
Yeah, so we start off in Onigashima by the stage, and there's just mass devastation. There's still lots of people fighting. It's all kind of cloudy with destruction. And it's really the aftermath of Drake and Luffy taking out two numbers. So a bunch of the Beast Pirates fodder notice Drake fighting and taking out a number. And Hyogoro and the samurai also notice Drake and also his devil fruit. So they're kind of like, this guy's a little sus. Like, why is he taking out people on his own side? Page one is confused about Drake's attack. And we get another flashback with Drake and Kobe. Kobe tells Drake of a special power that Luffy has where he's able to attract you. And if he's your friend, he feels like a very close friend. But if he's your enemy, he feels out of reach. Luffy has the ability to pull people to him. And it's kind of reminiscent of the powers that we've seen noted by Mihawk in Marineford. So Luffy responds to Drake in the last chapter saying that he wants to join Luffy's cause. And he asks Drake if he wants to take down Kaido. And Drake can't say his reasons, but he says that he does want to take down Kaido. Then Zoro clashes with Drake. And he's trying to convince Luffy not to let Drake ally with the Straw Hats by saying that Drake sank to being under Kaido's wing just like Hawkins did. And he doesn't want Drake to take shelter under the Straw Hat Pirates. We also see Franky and Jinbei both advising Luffy to be wary of Drake. Jinbei even says that pirates also have a code of honor, and it seems like, Drake isn't following that code. And Luffy, he considers everything, I'm sure, but he just does like a cheeky, sure, he can be on our side, and that's that. And both Zoro and Jinbei are both kind of like, no, we can't. What are you talking about? You're a moron, Captain. Ulti and Page 1 kind of realize that Luffy is actually the leader of these rebels. And we see them transform Page 1 into full dinosaur form and Ulti in a hybrid form. They start taking out some of the samurai fodder. So Luffy notices Page 1 and Ulti. And Sanji notices Ulti because she's a beautiful woman or a cute girl. Page 1 tries to attack Luffy and company, and he actually gets attacked by a flying plant, and we hear Usopp from a distance yelling out, "Special attack, Green Star, Skull Blast Grass." Ulti is just like, oh no, Pepe, what's happening? Who did that? And we see Nami, and she's looking badass standing up to both Ulti and Page 1, and she has kind of like a catch line saying, my favorite kind of pest control is getting rid of the lizards. And then we also see Usopp hiding behind Nami, using her as kind of a shield. And Nami slaps him saying, I should spray you with some Repticide. So Nami then kind of challenges Page 1 and Ulti and saying, do your worst. And then both her and Usopp proceed to run away from them. Page 1 and Ulti are both very mad and are chasing Nami and Usopp. Sanji lets Usopp know that he's counting on him to protect Nami. And then we see Usopp and Sanji trying to get to the top of the castle and running. All of a sudden, Luffy cries out to Sanji, cover your ears. And we see Apoo, and he starts attacking them. And by covering their ears, it really blocked the attack from Apoo. Next, we see Apoo looking at the numbers that have fallen, Jockey, Goki, and Juki. Then we get an intro box for Scratchman. It says, Animal Kingdom Pirates Informant, Captain of the On-Air Pirates, Scratchman Apoo, bounty of 350 million berry. He exclaims that the numbers must have been beaten because they were drunk.
And at this moment, we actually see Hatcha, who's reinvigorated, carrying a number over his head, and he looks like he's getting ready to slam down upon Straw Hats and company. with the corpse of his fallen comrade, and Apoo in the background is like, you got to teach these people what happens when an ancient giant really goes on like a rampage. The samurai fodder are like, oh my god, what's that guy? He's using his own comrade as a weapon. What incredible strength. Luffy's like, oh man, this guy, like, I really want to beat him up now. Like, who would use one of their comrades as a weapon? And Sanji's like, hey Luffy, that's not a good idea. If you attack him now, like, all the other ones are gonna like wake up and they're gonna become reinvigorated. Like, you're really gonna get tied up here. And Luffy's like, oh, okay, fine. Jinbei just goes ahead to like reiterate that there's so many of them that they're like a real big problem. They're like a menace. And Franky's like, yeah, I don't have enough cola to deal with all these guys right now. So all of a sudden Hatcha notices Franky in his Battle Franky, General Franky form. And he's looking at him all endearing, and Jinbei's like, hey Franky, like, you gotta run away as fast as you can. Like, we can't afford any more casualties for the samurai here if this guy decides to go on a rampage. So Franky runs away, Hatcha starts running after him, and Franky's like, oh man, I'm gonna make you pay for thinking like my robot form is a toy. Like, this is ridiculous. Swap over to Drake still clashing with Zoro, and he's like, come on man, you gotta understand, like, if you guys win here, it's gonna serve my purpose anyway. And Drake's like, how does that suit you? Like, we all win here. And Zoro's like, yeah, I understand that you're telling me the truth, but like, you're still not telling me like who you side with or why you want to betray Kaido in the first place. And then as they're clashing, Zoro and Drake kind of look over and they say they see Apoo kind of doing Apoo things, like running around like a lunatic, smashing on his head. And Apoo's like, oh yeah, I'm going to call in more of the numbers. We're going to get some reinforcements. And he's like, come on guys, you need to sober up and get out of here. And at this moment, like, Drake and Zoro, they both just attack Apoo. And Apoo's like, oh yeah, Drake, I heard about you. You decided to betray us, and now you're gonna leech off that little tiny, eeny weeny, small, like, insignificant pirate crew. And Drake's like, oh dude, I really hate that guy. I've always hated that guy. I'm gonna beat the crap out of him, but not for you. Like, I really just want to beat him up. And Zoro's like, oh yeah, man, I guess we're partners now for this one. So they're just about to launch an attack towards Apoo, and out of nowhere we see bullets kind of rain down upon them, and kind of sing-songingly we hear like, oh Drake, and we see that Queen, who now has a minigun apparently, is smoking a cigar, and he's like, oh yeah, don't think you could just leave here, you traitor. And he's like, no, you're not a traitor, you're a spy. So we see that some of the other samurai in the area were hit by some of Queen's bullets, and they look like they're doing pretty bad. And Zoro's like, oh, that's like a weird weapon. Drake is all like, oh, you think you could injure me with bullets? But apparently these are special bullets, and we see Drake looking all shook. Flash forward to the top of Onigashima Castle, where Kaido was battling with the Sulongs and the Minks. And we see Jack, he's looking worse for wear. One of his tusks are broken. He's obviously fallen in defeat. And Kaido rears up, and he's like, that's enough. So we see the Scabbards look towards Kaido, and Kaido's like, listen, you gotta understand, Jack is one of my strongest men. He's one of my lead performers. I'm not gonna sit here and just let you kill him. And Jack's like, sorry, Lord Kaido, I failed you. They were just too strong. And Kaido is actually like, no, it's not that you're weak. It's that they're strong. And we see Neko and Inu in Sulong form, and they're looking all badass underneath the full moon. We see that Neko's still missing his arm, and he's still looking menacing as ever. So Jack is on the ground, and he's like, oh, those Sulongs have caused us extreme casualties and losses. And Kaido's like, oh, but you guys did well to keep the Sulong in check. You guys need to take care of yourselves and rally so you could still fight. Kinemon thanks the Minks, and Kaido rears back for an attack. He starts preparing for his Boro Breath, his flame-based attack, and he's like, oh, I'm eager to see how you guys are going to run away from this attack. So Kaido goes to shoot his fire blast at them, and Kinemon reminds us of his epithet of Foxfire Kinemon, and he's like, oh, it never occurred to me to run away, as he slices Kaido's attack in half. Kaido is absolutely bewildered and shocked. He has no idea what's going on. we see that the flame attack just explodes, and we see Denjiro and the rest of the Scabbards. They're like, don't make us laugh, we're tired of running and hiding, just let us die already. As samurai of Lord Odin, let us die, but we're taking you down with us. And Kaido just looks angry, and that's the end of the chapter.
Yeah, that blow by Kinemon. I don't know. Did you mention that it landed a slash on Kaido's mouth because it's so badass? It probably will scar, I think.
Oh yeah, upon first read I didn't notice that, but now actually looking at it, yeah, Kaido actually got wounded, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna scar. It's definitely gonna disfigure him for a while. That's crazy. Go Kinemon.
So now Kinemon has damaged Kaido twice, when before only Odin was able to damage him. So that's really impressive.
Yeah, but even so, I mean, huge death flags for the Scabbards at the end of this chapter. The whole chapter was even named after them.
Yeah, they're like, we don't mind dying. We just want to take out Kaido and make sure that his reign of terror is over on our country.
Yeah, totally. It's crazy. I think we should touch on that a little bit later. But there was just definitely a lot in this chapter, I think. And one of the cool things that Oda pointed back to was Luffy's attraction powers.
Yeah, so we were talking about or we found that out with Kobe like in a flashback with X Drake, and yeah, he just says that Luffy has something about him where if you're an ally and he likes you, you feel really, really close with him. And if you're an enemy, you feel very distant and he's out of reach. And that's really interesting to note because, first off, the fact that it's stuck with Kobe so long, and then secondly, the fact that X Drake has this type of memory with Kobe.
Yeah, I'm still curious behind the relationship between X Drake and Kobe. They seem like really friendly for just, being shipmates together. Or just fellow Marines, or even members of Sword. They seem to be really close. So I don't know why, if like X Drake, he's in such a dire situation, why he's going to take Kobe's advice unless they're like really good friends or they
family.
have some sort of history behind them. Exactly.
Yeah, and if we think about just Kobe in general, we only really see him with Helmeppo and with Garp, and no other Marine has really been shown to be that close with Kobe. So it's definitely surprising that X Drake is in that short list of people now that Kobe has a relationship with.
Especially because all this time we've been led to believe that X Drake was solely only a pirate. Only come in the Wano arc, we find out he's actually like a turncoat and he's infiltrated like the Beast Pirates for the Marines.
Yeah, that also means that X Drake didn't leave the Marines until after Kobe and Luffy met and left each other as well. So there had to have been a good amount of time in the beginning of One Piece where X Drake was still a part of the Marines.
Yeah, exactly. And I think even in the flashback in this chapter, Kobe's in like his newer outfit, so it had to have been recent. So X Drake had to have been coordinating with the Marines somehow, enough for them to have been in the same room with each other.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they were in the same room, but he does have a visual of Kobe, and it's adult Kobe, post time skip Kobe. I feel like
it shows them in the same room.
It did.
Drake's chilling on a chair.
Gotcha. Then then they're able to meet secretly, which is really interesting as well. I agree.
So, looping back for a second, like Luffy's attraction powers, what's really striking to me is, so one of the main motifs in the story that we've heard about, especially in Dressrosa, is like the qualities of the true king. So you have like Conqueror's Haki, which is like the color of the king. I think maybe Luffy's attraction powers could be like some sort of like innate Conqueror's Haki. Maybe even like, so we know that Conqueror's Haki is like one of those, it's the only form of Haki that you can't train, that you're born with. So maybe like Luffy's attraction powers is just like a sign of like dormant potential for awakening, like Conqueror's Haki 2.0. Because we see similar pirates, we've seen some pirates in the story that have similar qualities to like Luffy and like his attraction powers.
Yeah, and to kind of further on that point, we know that Conqueror's Haki kind of incapacitates people in a certain radius of you, and this ability kind of seems like the opposite, where it makes you even closer to you, so to the person using it. So it seems related in the fact that they're kind of reverse of each other, of the effects. So I thought that was interesting as well.
Yeah, it's super duper cool. I definitely think that it plays some sort of that they definitely play some sort of role in each other. But I just don't know. Conqueror's Hockey is just one of those enigmas still in the story that we just don't understand yet.
Right.
But one of the other interesting things I thought about in this chapter was when Jinbei was advising Luffy on X-Drake, he mentioned honor in the world of pirates. Now, we see that most of the pirates that we come across are like dastardly and they don't care. They're extremely selfish. But then again, we see a lot of honorable pirates. Again, like some of the big names like Whitebeard, Luffy, and Shanks even.
Yeah, so even in the pirate world, both in real life and in One Piece, there is kind of a code for pirates. Code of honor, whatever you want to call it, but there is a pirate code. Just like if you've seen the movie Pirates of the Caribbean, they had that honor code where if you say parlay, then you get to talk to the captain, and that's just part of the pirate honor. And I think that even in the One Piece world, that sort of thing applies. And Jinbei is saying that turning sides so frequently goes against that honor code. And that's the biggest reason why he's against X-Drake joining an alliance with Luffy.
I mean, but even so, maybe that just means that Drake is a crappy pirate, but a good marine. And this would be just another time in the story where Luffy's befriended elements of the Marines.
Yeah, and also, as an audience, we know that X-Drake has never turned cloak. In reality, he's always been part of the Marines. He's just a double agent right now. So because of that, it's understandable why he can't be upfront with Luffy what his motives are, because it would kind of break his entire operation. So because of that, he has to hold back that information. Even Zoro remarks, I know you're hiding something still, and that's why I don't trust you. And I think that because Luffy has some sort of maybe observation hockey or something, but he's able to realize that this guy will not betray him, and that's why he just doesn't even question it at that point. He's like, I can see that your intentions are true, that you want to join my group, and that you're not lying when you say that you want to take Kaido down. So yeah, I'll accept your help. And for Luffy, it's as easy as that. If he can tell that your intentions are true and that you're being honest, then yeah, he'll ally with you. He doesn't mind.
I think it's similar to what we saw with Fujitora in Dressrosa, where Fujitora, even though he was blinded, he could still sense the intentions of other people. So I think Luffy kind of does that just subconsciously. However, I'm still really interested into what Drake's mission is. Like, why was he on Wano or infiltrating the Beast Pirates in the first place? Because we know he actually sought out Kaido to join the crew.
I mean, I think that we already mentioned one of our theories, and I still think that it's the case where Drake really has it against Doflamingo because of how Doflamingo killed his father. So Drake wanted to stop Doflamingo, and then Luffy already did that for him. And also, he realized that Doflamingo wasn't even the one in power. It was all Kaido. So he realized that, you know what? I want to stop this at the source and go to Kaido. And I think that that's really his big motivation, redeeming his father, revenging his father, and yeah, just stopping this underground operation that is clearly bad for the world.
So one of the other interesting questions on top of that then is that how did Drake get his fruit? Do you think he has some history with Kaido? Because you got to think, an ancient zone, right? Especially with something like the Devil Fruit book existing, if they know that this fruit exists, then they're going to keep tabs on it and they're going to seek it out, much like what happened with his father and Doflamingo. So do you think he could have just been an underling of Kaido from the beginning and we just don't know? Like maybe it was the long con and he turned to a Marine like after that?
No, because I think that we've seen him use his devil fruit prior to the time skip. And
We did.
we know that he joined Kaido's forces after the time skip. So to me it sounds like he got his devil fruit powers while he was on the Marines or before he was about to try to infiltrate Kaido's crew.
I understand, but maybe he was part of Kaido's crew beforehand, sent to like infiltrate the Marines, and he actually became a Marine. It's just this whole convoluted situation. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you have an ancient Zoan type devil fruit and pirate emperors are a thing, and the king of the beast pirates is a thing who has a crew exclusively made of zone type devil fruits, yeah, they're gonna know about your fruit.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. Like, there's so many possibilities. Like, it could be a fruit that the Marines found and confiscated and had on reserve, and they're like, you know what, this is a good time to use it because there's no way that Kaido actually has all of the ancient zone devil fruits. I don't think that it's possible. Like, we've seen a few. I feel like we've seen others. But anyway, I don't think it's possible. Like, sure, he has the most of them under his crew and under his power, but it's very possible that he doesn't have all of them. And even if he kept tabs, like if the Marine headquarters has a specific devil fruit, it's going to be pretty tough to take that from them.
I agree. I'm just saying, like, I don't believe that he has all of the ancient zones or like mythical zones, but he definitely knows where they are. So that's all I'm saying.
I don't know if he will have them all or knowledge of where they're at, but he definitely keeps tabs on them. I agree with that.
So Nami and Usopp challenging Ulti in page one in typical Wiki Trio fashion. I thought it was really interesting that they're putting themselves on the line right now and challenging two members of the Flying Six.
Yeah, so I think that they realize that Luffy needs to get to Kaido. So even though they're scared and they're weaker and they probably can't take either Ulti or Page One in a fair fight, they're going to do their best to let their captain get to his objective. And it's very brave of them, and I'm like proud of Nami and Usopp right now.
I'm very proud of them too, but one of the interesting things I just thought of is so Nami controls weather and Usopp now controls plants. So Nami can obviously make it rain on the plants and the plants can become more powerful and like buffed.
Yeah, I can see some good synergy happening between the two of them. I mean, we know that Usopp has a lot of various types of tricks, not only plant-based, like he can do like smoke screens or I don't know, a variety of things like sleeping stuff that he used earlier in Wano to knock people out. So yeah, I think that they're gonna have a lot of cool synergy, like you said, and I would love to see like a combo attack like that.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I think that's one of the cool things that we're seeing in Wano right now, is like a lot of the crew's combination attacks, kind of. So like the whole crew had like a combo attack against Oars, and now we've seen Jinbei and Robin work together and form like a combo attack, and now we're gonna see similar things between Usopp and Nami.
Yeah, I think that combo attacks are really cool, and Oda thinks that they're cool, and he knows that his audience thinks that they're cool. So I feel like it's kind of fan service that they're doing combo attacks.
Hey, hey, hey! I'm not complaining. I'm down. So since we're talking about like battles and fights, one of the interesting fights that I can't believe I didn't see before is Brook versus Apoo. I think it would be like the perfect matchup in the story, considering they're both like a little goofy. They're both musicians, and they both fight with music. Plus, Brook doesn't have ears, so he doesn't have to worry about like covering his ears and blocking Apoo's attacks.
Yeah, I never even thought about this matchup until I saw it in the notes this morning, and I love it. And now that Apoo seems like, so we saw that X-Drake and Zoro were fighting Apoo, and it looks like their battle with him got interrupted by Queen. So this is a good point for Brook to step in and face Apoo. And yeah, I don't know, because I don't know if you knew this, but like vibrations in the skull can make you hear sounds and music as well. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to go through your eardrums initially. Like, it can go through your ears through like vibrations in the skull. So it would be interesting if potentially he would have a weakness to Apoo as well, because the vibrations of Apoo's music might just kind of affect him no matter what, because he's just bones. Or it could be the flip side of, well, he doesn't have ears, so it won't affect him at all. Like, I don't know. I could see it going either way, honestly.
Yeah. So Beethoven actually, he was deaf, but he was able to compose music just due to vibration. So it's very similar. I think the really interesting matchup between Apoo and Brook is that Brook will be like, oh yeah, your music's good, but it has no soul. And there's like the connection to Brook's devil fruit and all that. And that's how Brook's going to be able to overcome Apoo if they like fight each other. I think it would be a really cool matchup though, just both fighting with music. But some interesting things actually about Apoo is, so even though like Apoo's a musician, I would consider him more of like a bard. So he doesn't seem like we've touched on before. He's not very effective with like physical attacks. Like obviously, I don't think Apoo could stand up to Zoro 1v1. But maybe we see that Apoo's now leading the numbers. So I think maybe like Apoo kind of like throws them into a frenzy, like music, kind of like a bard in D&D. What do you think?
Yeah, I really like that idea. It's very apparent that he is in charge of the numbers and they listen to him somehow. The numbers don't seem like they're all there in the head. So the fact that he's able to get these ogre-like giants in check and control them, I could totally see it kind of like a Pied Piper situation where he kind of uses music to get them going.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's also so similar to how like music can make people like go into a battle frenzy, and we see some of the numbers are actually they look like Vikings. So maybe that's just a subtle nod to it. I think it's the horns everywhere. It's got to be the horns.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has horns in this arc.
Yeah, so so like the morale boost, like we've seen similar effects like the devil fruit of Bello Betty of the revolutionaries with her flag fruit. You know, just by waving her flag, she can inspire people like normal peasants to get like these huge strength and stamina buffs. I think we could see something similar with like a poo and just augmenting like the numbers instead of normal peasants would be insane.
Yeah, I agree. We haven't seen it yet, so we don't know, but it would definitely be a cool reveal if he does have buffs based on music. So we kind of talked about this a little bit before, but it seems like Drake and Zoro are about to be facing Queen, and I am ready for this fight because any Zoro fight is a good fight.
I'm down, especially seeing Queen. Queen is absolutely huge, and he does have swords. So who knows? Queen could be a a sword wielding dinosaur.
Yeah, right. And also he's got a Gatling gun, and Zoro and Drake kind of seem, well, more so Zoro seem confused. He's like, I've never seen this type of weapon before. And it appears that the bullets of the Gatling gun are poisoned somehow. And his epithet is Queen the Plague. So, yeah, I think that we also saw Queen use poison in his jailhouse as well. I forgot exactly how. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, he used it in the prison. Yeah, so like it was causing people to like shrivel up, and then like it was super communicable. So if you touched another person that had the disease, you would get it. And remember, Luffy like hugged all the prisoners to kind of like take their burden on himself, and he like almost died in the process.
Oh, yeah. So right now, Luffy is focused on going to Kaido. So he's not going to be part of this fight to help Drake kind of take on that poison. Because we know that Luffy has like a tolerance and immunity to poison from his fight with Magellan in Impel Down. So yeah, like we don't have Luffy to take the poison away from Drake. And I think that he's gonna have to tough it out somehow. I'm not exactly sure how Drake is gonna recover from being poisoned right now. And it's definitely a concern because personally, I don't want to see Drake die. Like he seems like a really cool guy and he's BFFs with Toby. So yeah, or Kobe, sorry.
Well, we know that Chopper's free right now. We know that Chopper was in the tank. We haven't really seen him do much. But I think it could be one of those situations where Drake gets incapacitated, and as Luffy is like flying away, he's like, Chopper, take care of whatever name Luffy's gonna come up with, Dino Guy for
Right.
Drake. I don't know.
Yeah, and then that will make it so it's a 1v1 fight of Zoro versus Queen. And if that's the case, it's going to be so epic because we know that Queen is going to be one of the top bad guys this arc. And I don't think Zoro has fought someone on this level in all earnestness yet. So this is going to probably be one of the coolest Zoro fights in the second half of One Piece so far.
Oh yeah, I think it would be really cool. It would be extremely interesting to see how Queen utilizes his devil fruit. But we know Queen was strong enough to incapacitate a raging big mob.
And also, like, just to kind of power scale Queen a little bit, we know that Queen has to be a good margin stronger than Jack. And Jack got taken down by a bunch of Sulong minks. So Sulong minks are going to be really powerful. And I don't think that it really shows how weak Jack is, just like how Kaido said. Like, it's just that there's so many Sulong Minks and they're just so powerful. Not much you can do about it, Jack. I'm sorry. I don't think that Queen necessarily would be taken out by a bunch of Sulong Minks if he was in that same situation as Jack was. I think that both him and Queen and King are probably going to be very even power level, unless something about King that's yet to be revealed happens. I think that they're probably going to be similar power level. And yeah, basically they're number 2 and 3 in the Beast Pirates for a reason. And I want to see Zoro solo him.
Well, if that's the case, then since Sanji and Luffy are currently flying towards the top of Onigashima, and we know that King is flying and controlling the airspace in the top of the castle, we know that potentially Sanji is going to have to fight King. I would actually like to see if we're going to do combo battles against the All-Stars. I would love to see Jinbei and Sanji fight King.
Yeah, I could totally see that happening, a combo battle. It does seem like so far each of the Straw Hat Pirates are breaking off from Luffy, I guess, in order to let Luffy continue to go and fight Kaido, because again, it's inevitable that the Red Scabbards are going to lose to Kaido. Maybe Act 3 will end with the Red Scabbards losing to Kaido, and that will be like one of the tragedies that happen, and then Luffy faces him in earnestness. But yeah, so I think it's really cool that we just see each Straw Hat Pirate kind of 1 by 1 or 2 by 2 breaking off from the group to buy Luffy time to let him get to his main objective. And I can totally see more of them breaking off to face different All-Stars or I forgot what they're called. King, Queen, Jack.
Oh, the All-Stars?
Or All-Stars.
And then you have the headliners, which are below them.
Yeah, the headliners are weak.
Yeah, the All-Stars are also known as the lead performers. So, since we're talking about like these fights, so do you remember the reason why Zoro and Sanji even started bickering in the first place?
No.
It was on Little Garden. It was who could take out the biggest dinosaur.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think everything's coming full circle right now with this arc.
Oh, yeah. So if you guys don't remember, this was early on in One Piece when Sanji just joined the crew and they land on this island of giants as well as dinosaurs. And Sanji and Zoro had a competition saying, I'm going to get the biggest dinosaur so that we can have a big feast. And every time they came back, it was with a same evenly sized dinosaur, and they couldn't determine who had the better dinosaur kill. I could totally see that happening with King and Queen as well, and Sanji. Honestly, even 1v1 in King, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, especially if Zoro is 1v1 Queen.
Yeah, so we've seen that the power scaling of long before is kind of gone, and we don't know really what's up with Sanji and his raid suit, and we still don't know what's up with Zoro and his eye. So it'll be really interesting to see how this all pans out.
Yeah, do you think that during Wano arc we're going to see Zoro reveal his eye secret technique?
I mean, he's obviously going to unleash his Sharingan in the land of samurai. Where else would you want to
Dude, I was totally going to make a Sharingan joke too.
Well, we have to call back to Naruto somehow every episode.
Yeah, so we just see him open his eye and he's like, Kamui! And then we get teleported to a different dimension.
Yeah, no, but let's bring it back for a second. I do believe they still have a lot of battle potential they haven't revealed yet. We still haven't seen them full force really after the time skip. So it's going to be super duper interesting to see how this all shakes out, because I think Wano's really where they're going to have to go all out in order to be able to assist Luffy. We see that Kaido and his crew are no joke.
I definitely want to see Zoro go 100% power this arc, and if we get anything less than that, I'll be a little disappointed. So I agree.
I hope so. So on another fight, since like this chapter is all about stacking up the fights, I guess we have Franky versus Hatcha. Now, Ed, I believe you called it, so would you like to talk to us about it?
Yeah, so if you guys don't remember, Adam was not a believer that this fight would happen, and I was, so I gotta rub it in. I'm sorry, Adam. Anyway, yeah, this fight's going to be interesting. We already know that Frankie kind of thinks that he can take down numbers fairly easily because as long as he has Coca-Cola to power it, or cola, and earlier in this chapter he says he doesn't think he has enough cola for 10 numbers. But we know he used some cola already, and he's facing one more number. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting fight. I think Frankie's probably stronger than the number, but yeah, so this is kind of like how I imagine what's going to happen. Frankie has the number chasing him across Onigashima for a while, and then eventually they fight, and possibly the number will catch up to him and grab him and treat him like a toy. And you know how kids might take a toy and slam it against things just for fun because that's just kind of what you do as a kid with a toy. And I think that that's exactly what Hatch is going to do with Frankie, and unknowingly cause damage to his toy because he's not trying to break it, he's just trying to have fun with it. Eventually, Frankie might escape, but he needs time to charge his laser, and it's going to be kind of like how will he bide his time to charge his laser long enough to actually take out Hatcha. And that's kind of how I see it.
I think it's going to be a really interesting fight. I really like to see how Frankie's whole manliness factors into him having to fight somebody who's acting like a child. Unlike Senor Pink, who is very much a hard-boiled man in a child's clothing. So it's really going to be interesting how Frankie's going to bring himself to, fend off the attacks from somebody who's acting like a child, even though they are much, much bigger than himself.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting dichotomy with how he fought Senor Pink, like you said. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that overall it's a low diff for Frankie. It's just a matter of being able to get his laser blast off. Once that happens, it'll be an easy victory. Who knows, maybe Hatcha is stronger than other numbers. Like so far, out of the numbers we've seen, they all seem to be about equivalent power. And again, they were compared to Or's junior level of strength, or Or's level of strength, sorry. So yeah, like I'm interested in this fight, but also I wish that Frankie fought someone cooler too.
Well, Apoo's still a wild card, so we don't know if Frankie and Brook might have to fight Apoo. So we don't know. We know that Zoro and X-Drake are now tied up with Queen, so that gives Apoo ample time to run away and smash on his head as much as he wants.
So we have some Straw Hats that are currently not engaged in battle. Nico Robin, Jinbei, and Brook.
Chopper.
Oh, and Chopper, yeah. So I think that those four currently don't have any battle. I mean, we saw Jinbei and Robin kind of take out Big Mom, but not really, just get her out of the way. So maybe she'll reappear soon and they're going to have to stop her. I'm not exactly sure where those four members are going to be or what they're going to be doing in the next few chapters, but yeah, it's just interesting because like we already know that they're just going to have to try to buy time for Luffy, like I said before, and I just want to know how they're going to do it, and I don't really have an idea yet.
Same here. Carrot's a huge wild card too. We know that Carrot's down in the fray, but we haven't seen her. She wasn't part of like the huge Straw Hat mashup down there on the stage, but then she also wasn't present on top of Onigashima to fight Kaido and Jack. So she's still floating around, but we haven't seen her.
Oh yeah, speaking of Kaido and Jack, those minks were all taken out, by the way, on top of Onigashima. So we saw like the Three Musketeer Sulong group go in and other Sulong minks. I'm pretty sure they're all incapacitated because just the way that they all looked beat up in the panel in this chapter, they're not dead. They're just kind of like tired and probably can't fight right now. They need some rest. Yeah, so like I think that Carrot and Inu and Neko are the only minks left right now that are in fighting condition.
Beppo too.
Oh yeah. I just don't count Beppo for whatever reason just because he's part of Law's group, but you're right, he's totally a mink and I should have.
No, I understand. Like, we haven't really seen a lot of him. He's not, like, part of the main crew right now, so we have no idea.
He's, like, quote-unquote the weakest of the Heart Pirates, which I don't believe. Like, I think Beppo's probably pretty strong, and I would love to see him go Sulong even, and there's a possibility.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be really cool to see a Polar Bear Sulong. But, so, I basically took the last couple of panels on top of Onigashima as, like, the fodder fights kind of out of the way. So now we get the Scabbards versus Kaido. And with that being said, there are a massive amount of death flags for the Scabbards in this chapter.
Yeah, I agree. I know that you are kind of on the boat that the Scabbards are one or all or some of the Scabbards are going to die by the end of this arc. And I honestly can't fathom all of them dying. I think that there needs to be some Scabbards because Momo, even though he's a Kazuki and he can probably handle it like as he grows older and take reign of Wano as a whole, as, like once Kaido is defeated and all that, he's going to need allies. He's going to need people who he can really depend on and trust. And that's where the Scabbards come in. I don't think all the Scabbards are gonna perish from Kaido. I think at most it's gonna be one or two of the Scabbards. So, like we've been saying, Denjiro and Kinemon. But again, it's possible that more die. And I agree with you that there are death flags because they literally say that, like, let us die after we defeat you. So, yeah.
Yeah, the whole chapter was named after them. Honestly, one of the only Scabbards I can't really see dying is like Shinobu, but she's not really a Scabbard. She's kind of like an unofficial Scabbard.
See, like I still think that's gonna be Raizo X Shinobu, and
I do too. Stop shipping my ship.
we can ship the same ships, and I think that they're going to like have like a nice little ninja shinobi family and cute children that will take on the role of passing on the shinobi traditions through Wano.
The Will of Fire, if you will. But like, so I initially had them fighting earlobes, Fuku Rokuju, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I feel like Kaido's gonna drop the hammer on them, even though Kaido can't borrow breath them. We know that he's got immense physical strength, and we haven't really seen him go all out physically in dragon form. So I feel like the Scabbards are gonna be wiped right here. And whether or not they die just, is whether or not Luffy and the rest of the people who are going to come in for the final fight can arrive in time.
Honestly, Kinemon is so impressive to me. Every chapter, his power level just seems so much stronger. It's almost as if Kinemon was stronger than both Luffy and Zoro when we first met him, and we just didn't know.
I totally agree with you. He's gone through like this huge power spike, and we have no idea where it came from because we've never really seen him fight.
Like, yeah, when we were first introduced to him, he was talking literally out of his ass with farts, you know? Like he was a gag character and he's actually a hidden boss. That's so cool.
And his devil fruit power is like not really that OP. Like it's been written to serve like this one function, like infiltrate Onigashima. But other than that, in terms of like fighting power with your devil fruit, it's pointless as far as I'm concerned.
But yeah, Kinemon has now officially damaged Kaido twice. The first time it was with Denjiro, but I believe that, or I guess with all of the Scabbards, but really, Kinemon is a boss. Like, he might be as strong as Odin was when Odin died. I'm not, probably not, but like close to it. Just because, again, up until this point, only Odin has ever hurt Kaido, and now we've seen Kinemon do it twice and wound Kaido.
I mean, yeah, it's a crazy, amazing feat, but I just see it as like death flags written all over it. Because we know that at the end of the day, Luffy's gonna fight Kaido. We know that Luffy's gonna land the final blow on Kaido. But, I mean, I don't see Kinemon playing a part in that, to be completely honest. I think that, like, this is just another example of, like, the old having to die and make way for the new, like we saw with Whitebeard.
Can't disagree. I don't want it to happen. I'm not certain it will happen, but there is a very good chance, and there's a lot of foreshadowing that it'll happen. So yeah, we might see R.I.P. Kinemon end of Act 3.
Speaking of the end of Act 3, I haven't heard any shamisen in the distance. Nothing. I'm just waiting for it. Oda thinks I forgot about it. Dude, I haven't forgot about it. Like, it's coming. Like, the tragedy's gotta happen before we can have that final fight.
But on a positive note, we do have a chapter next week still, so I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see Kaido Kamehameha out of his mouth again and take out some Scabbards. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, not happy cool, but it would still be cool to see.
It's going to be ridiculous. This fight is actually shaping up to be crazy. I think next chapter, Luffy and Sanji are gonna find King. We're gonna see what King's doing because as they try to ascend to the top of the castle, we know that King's like the last line of defense before they get up to Kaido. So it's gonna be super duper interesting to see what happens. I'm just happy that we're not on break. So despite all the doom and gloom at the end of this chapter, at least we have a chapter next week. So that's always positive.
And guys, I know that we did something different last chapter, so please comment and send us information regarding what type of content you like from us so that we can kind of more cater towards you all and make stuff that you guys want to hear more.
Yeah, so we did the deep dive last week. And if you guys really like that or want to see more of that stuff, especially when we have breaks, just drop us a line or let us know. Again, our email address is thevoidcenturypodcast@gmail.com. We post all episodes of our podcast on YouTube under the Void Century Podcast. So even if you don't feel like emailing us, if you could search us out on YouTube and maybe comment, we'd really appreciate it, just so that we know how we could better deliver content to you guys. Thanks for sailing with us.
Bye.
Bye.